Hello lovely people, how are you doing today? So welcome back to another video. What I wanted to do today was to tell you a little bit about what's in the video so you can decide if it's relevant for you, because it's a little bit different. So back in December last year I released a video about how we were getting on with the sleeping roof in our Eriba Feeling, and you probably remember from back then we were having a few condensation issues up in the roof. The main body of the Caravan's fantastically well insulated, but the roof isn't because of the way it has to be made. And in the UK we suffer from obviously a very damp climate, which gives us wonderful green spaces but also gives us a few challenges as well in terms of weather. And so because these Caravans aren't very common in the UK, then we're finding out for ourselves, I guess, how these things behave. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, this is a little bit different video from normal. So if you own a UK Caravan, you might find it interesting if you suffer from condensation in your van, because you might be able to take some of the tips and techniques and the things we found out and then make them work for you. So also, you know, these Caravans are very popular in other European countries, so in Germany and the Netherlands and France and Italy and so on. I guess I should say moin, hoi, salut and ciao to you guys. And of course, particularly in Germany and the Netherlands, I understand indoor storage for Caravans is much more common, and so you don't find that quite the same issues as you might have if you had to leave the Caravan outside. But I thought I'd share what we've been doing anyway, in case it's helpful. So what I've been doing throughout this winter, so the 2019-20 winter, is actually keeping a bit of a video diary, because we've been taking a different approach this year. This year, rather than following the standard Hymer guidance, which is to empty the roof bed space of all the mattresses and so on and put dehumidifiers up there and then open up the roof every, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks the guidance is. We've done that in previous years and it hasn't really been optimal for UK weather, certainly in the southeast where we are, where it's reasonably temperate weather. But also this year, you know, we've had a lot more opportunities to be able to use the Caravan, and I didn't want to be unpacking and repacking mattresses every time we wanted to go anywhere. So this year I've left the little insulation side curtains that I made a while ago up there. I've left all the mattresses in place, and rather than putting dehumidifier crystals up there, what I've tried to do is to get the air moving a lot more. So I've used a desk fan to see if that fan makes a much better job of keeping it dry up there, rather than just putting dehumidifying crystals up there to try and soak up any moisture. Anyway, so that's an overview to tell you what's coming. If it's not relevant, just switch off now. You know, there's no point wasting your life watching me prattling on about something that's totally irrelevant. If you're interested, let's get into the video and see what happens, and I'll come back to you at the end. See you later on. So as I said, rather than taking the mattresses out of the roof space and then using a set of dehumidifiers, which incidentally Hymer don't say how many or what sort of type. So this was my best guess as to what was workable within the space itself and had enough absorption power. Anyway, 2 of these right at the back of the beds where the mattresses would have normally been, and then a big Unibond Aero 360 at the front. But as you saw in our December 2019 top tips video, that wasn't quite enough in some years, depending on what the weather was doing. So this year, and as we've had a lot more opportunities to actually use the Caravan, I left all the soft furnishings in place and then instead got the air moving gently but constantly up here with a small fan, a small desk fan at the back of the bed. I also tested out having the heating on to see what would happen, and then at the end of each trip ran an electric dehumidifier actually for a couple of days afterwards, to soak up any moisture that had got into the fabric of the Caravan, the furnishings and so on, from the 1.5 pints that us humans do like to breathe out every 24 hours. Not to mention anything coming from boiling the kettle and so on. So here's what the little electric dehumidifier looked like. And here's the fan running in situ at the back of the bed. So anyway, let's start way back in November 2019 and see what happened. So job 1, undo the clips. Two needed. Look at that, holding the camera and pulling the thing down at the same time. Make sure the door's open. Bus is parked next door. Pop the roof. Oh, that's also very difficult with one hand. Okay, up a bit higher on the ladder. Right, let's check how this ceiling's getting on. And for that we need the kitchen roll test. Actually feels just fine. Yep, perfect. Not a sausage. It's warm enough in here today. Ah, that's interesting. So that's just popped. It does feel a bit damp. Now I'm breathing up here. Oh, look over there. See, some's formed already. So this was pretty dry when we popped the roof. Now as soon as I'm here breathing, it's condensating. See that? Yeah. So it's just me breathing up here because that bit is actually cold. So let's get all these windows open and get it airing. Ah, let the sunshine in. Pop the roof light. Ooh, blue sky. And then let's get this side window open as well. Yes, so this is the aluminium tape. So this cloudiness is condensation on this tape and on this plastic. Interesting. So everything was cold but dry until I arrived and started breathing, and then it started condensating on all the cold surfaces. So I left it open and airing for a couple of hours. No idea if it needed this long, it just happened to be a convenient amount of time. Then I checked it again 10 days later. Okay, let's give the roof a kitchen paper test. Totally dry. Let's pop it up. I've had this fan rolling in here for all the way since the beginning of November. It's left a bit of an impression on the ceiling, but I'm sure that'll soon drop out. Feels cold to the touch. Not too bad. It's condensating now. I'm in here though, breathing. So we'll leave it open to air. So next entry in the log is 22nd of November 2019. We are going off for the weekend, so that's me and the little one. So I've had the heating on for 24 hours now. I've got it on warp factor 2. Here we are. No, 3. So heating's been on, number 3, for 24 hours. And let me show you what's going on the roof. So, for the purposes of winter logging, so this bit is the bit that's exposed next to the skylight. That is completely dry and feels lovely and warm. I've had the heating coming out through slot on the end of the bench seat there, and there's on the other one that's way under the table. So this is all toasty and warm, but as soon as I push my hand in here, it's this noticeable that is cold. So, you know, that's only blocked a tiny bit here, but that's cold. And the further in you go, it's freezing. Let's try this bit. Yeah, so hang on, I can't reach very well. Let's climb up over here. So on this side, absolutely freezing in that corner, although there's no condensation here. That feels quite warm. Well, yeah, it's not too bad. It feels cold, but warmer than usual. There's no condensation there. That bit feels cold, but totally dry. This bit, push my hand in there, is absolutely freezing. Oh, look, that's really interesting. So this top bit around the door, we open the door and you'll see. So that bit, see, that shows you exactly what's going on in here. So there's lovely warm air in here, which means it's holding a lot of water. But it's impossible to stop the thermal bridging. So this bit of metal goes all around the door. And so you can't, you know, you can't stop that getting cold. Not too bad in the middle. It's condensated again further down. So yeah, just can't, you know, this door feels nice and warm. But that bit of metal isn't, because it goes from the outside to the inside, so it's creating a thermal bridge, and so it's freezing and everything's condensating on it. Anyway, we had a lovely little first tow out of the bus up to Four Oaks at Henley, and as per this year's strategy, I set the dehumidifier running as soon as we were back. So let's go see what we collected. Oh, and it's full. But the ceiling's bone dry, so excuse me for a moment while I empty the dehumidifier. Okay, I'll put this back on and we'll leave it until tomorrow and see what happens. It's not particularly cold, it's been a little bit wet overnight. 28th of November. Let's see what's going on in here. And we have not very much in the bottom. Okay, good. So I thought I'd leave the dehumidifier running just for another day or two to make absolutely sure that it had got all the excess moisture out from when we'd used it. But then we had a cold snap. Okay, that's not quite what I expected to find. But remember, these things work by a fan chilling a set of metal fins inside, which water in the air then condensates on those metal fins and then drips into the vessel below. So in other words, exactly the same process that's going on in this caravan. And it was hovering around freezing or just above last night, so clearly the metal fins in here are getting below freezing. So I'll pop the heating on just on minimum and we'll see what's happened by tomorrow. Ooh, toasty. Tomorrow on one. How much water have we got? Twice as much more. And the roof. Good there. A bit chilly. Chilly. Oh, condensated up there. So for us in this caravan, and of course yours will be different, because we have these cold bridges around the door and in there, and where the roof canvas is attached to the fiberglass roof, when we have the heating on, which actually warms the air in the caravan up, meaning it can hold more moisture, which is always flowing in, of course, through all the vents, but that actually means for us it promotes the formation of condensation on these bits of exposed metal. So once the cold snap was over, both the heating and the dehumidifier went off. Until after Christmas and New Year, I warmed the caravan up again 24 hours before we headed off for our end of holidays break at Longleat. And then I filmed the next bit of the log once we were back. It's the, 7th of January. So while we were at Longleat last week, I discovered we've got a bit of an issue going on here. So you can see all this discoloration from last year when we had a lot of condensation. And when the van went in for its service, these were all starting to rust off, so they got taken off and scrubbed down and painted. But as you can see, the paint's coming off there and it's starting to rust. And we've got another issue here. So you can, the paint's just coming off the top. I guess it would have been nice if they were anodized. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I've now flaked that bit of loose paint off, so you can see what they look like before, just steel. So they're going to have to come off and get redone, and I guess if I take them off myself I might have time to put some sort of cover patch over that ceiling. And in the back here, oh, hang on, just a set of rags, let's move those. So in the back here, I've got a couple of little patches. Actually, it looks worse on the screen than it does in real life. So this is where the central divider between the two boys sticks to the ceiling. So that sticks sort of just up there, I guess. So I had the fan up here, but I guess that wasn't getting enough flow of fresh air through. So that's going to need some attention, and that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so that's the central divider curtain down at one side, and I've covered the mattress covers in a load of old tea towels. Actually, you can see a spot there where it's dripped before because this stuff has got bleach in. Actually, while I'm here, look, so this is how I've done the inside insulation curtain. So it does leave a little gap around the outside, which enables that canvas to breathe properly, which is good. So just find the spots, make sure this stuff is on. So I've got this specialist fabric mildew remover, and we'll just give it a bit of a squirt. That should hopefully do it. Come back in 5 or 10 minutes and hopefully it's faded. There we go, so it's faded already. Obviously still looks wet and a bit soapy, so I just leave that to dry. What's really, really important though is to keep on top of it, because once you've got the spores for mould or mildew into a space, it's almost impossible to get rid of them. So rather than going to the hassle of taking the entire roof off and recoating it in something that doesn't seem to attract it so much, I've just been trying to keep an eye on it, and if anything does appear, to get it as soon as I see it. So what's really interesting though is that this mould and mildew, well, I guess it's mildew, isn't it? The mildew just loves it on this fabric, but not on this fake suede, which is interesting. Probably something to do with a pile or how damp it gets. Something to think about anyway. Okay, it's been airing for a couple of hours and the drizzle looks like it's about to start, so it's going to have to come down. I'll just come out to check it's dry. All foaming patches have gone and it's looking much better. Okay, good. Top isn't 100% dry, still feels a little bit damp to the touch up here. So I've just put the USB powered fan back in place. It's wired up to a 240 socket down there, just so I'm not running it off the leisure battery. And the caravan's plugged into the house, and I've left these tea towels here just to make sure nothing is touching the surface. So let's get the lid down. And there we go, that will do for now. Don't have to have it in travel mode. Now, because we've been out in it for the last few days, I'm going to pop the dehumidifier on as well, just to make sure there's no residual moisture in here. Okay, so that was the video diary, the little log I made this winter, so for the 2019 into 20 winter. And sure, you know, we have some condensation issues, particularly in the roof of the caravan that's badly insulated. But for me, it's bonuses in the benefits of this particular 6 metre caravan with 5 full adult-sized sleeping spaces in it still far outweigh the disincentives. So, you know, I can be towing around the Lake District and come across a tiny, skinny little lane with dwarf stone walls on each edge, or a humpback ridge or something, and there's no need for me to have a coronary if we get to that point, because we've just got the small caravan on the back. So that works out brilliantly for us. Anyway, this is our 3rd full winter that we've gone through, and I think, you know, we're really understanding the behaviour of the caravan in the UK weather now. So how it behaves in terms of condensation and the extremely well insulated main part and the very badly insulated sleeping roof part. So I think in terms of condensation and ventilation and so on, we've really cracked it now. Anyway, thanks so much for following along. Wonderful to have you here. But for today, it's bye for now. See you next time. Bye now.